Good morning, everybody. So I showed that movie because I really like it. So thank you for putting up with that. Thank you to Alistair for the opportunity to be here today. Good to see a lot of old friends, people I've seen. I didn't mean old, Jay. Sorry. As Alistair said, this is my 36th year with Gulfstream. So I've kind of seen the evolutions of where we've come from, and I thought I'd share some of the things that we've learned today and talk a little bit about investing in innovation and how important that's become for our company. The last time I had the opportunity to join you guys was in 2016, and we were still talking about market changes and a glut of pre-owned airplanes, and I think we'd all agree that that certainly changed in the last few years. I also talked about, when I was here in 2016, the importance of discipline and having a disciplined plan regardless of the environment. As we all know, and you more than anyone know, this is a cyclical business. It always has been. In the 36 years I've been here, there have been many ups and downs. It's how you manage through those crises and those challenges and making sure that you're disciplined regardless of the environment that you find yourself in. We set out at NBAA to really put our best foot forward with our entire fleet of airplanes. So we had our whole fleet there for the first time with the G500 and 600 included. And I think most of you, other than the weather being extremely hot, would say that the market is definitely improving. I think there's a feel that things are getting better. And when you get into that mode, sometimes you're, based on where we've been, you want to go, well, when's the next shoe going to drop? You know, how soon will it turn back the other way? I think that the market for us started to improve really in 15 and 16. The conversations with owners and prospective buyers was a different conversation. That's followed through in the last couple of years. We've seen great activity all around the world. And you know, when I started at Gulfstream, we basically sold airplanes on the East Coast of the US. And now it's every corner of the world. Global wealth continues to increase, and we see buyers in this quarter from every facet or every corner of the world. We also talked about, last time I was here, the glut of pre-owned airplanes. I will tell you, one of the first things that I do each morning is I talk to Jim Ross. Many of you know Jim Ross. Jim is our pre-owned sales leader at Gulfstream. I kind of like get a feel for what the pulse of the day is from Jim and how the activity is going. We've done a lot of pre-buys, many of them for you in the audience over the last few years. The market's definitely come down significantly. Only about 5% of the 650 and 550 fleet are for sale. And believe me, I look at it every day just to understand what the market is doing. We have about 25-ish 550s on the market. As most of you know, there are very few of those that are newer and are forward galley. So there's a few of the kind of high value type airplanes for us. Very few 650s on the market. We have built now almost 600 G550s, and we're almost have delivered 200 and 300 plus G650s. So the market has definitely tightened on the pre-owned side. The G280, for example, just a handful of G280s for sale today. So let's talk a little bit about the industry and the investment. I didn't come here to sell you guys anything today. You probably know more about Gulfstream or our airplanes than I could tell you anyway, but I want to talk about the investment and the things that I think have brought us to the point we are today. And I tell our people constantly that investment has given us a very compelling story. And I don't think competition's a bad thing. I think competition makes us better. I think it keeps us focused. But it also gives us a chance to compete. And I believe we've created this overwhelmingly competitive and compelling story that regardless of who we're competing against, we have the opportunity to tell an incredible story. So our market, 10 years ago, this would have been 80% U.S. 20 years ago, it probably would have been 85% U.S. 10 years from now, that 64 will probably be closer to 50. The market has changed. The global footprint of what we sell has changed. The customers have changed, and the market continues to move to the east. I think China, Asia will be the growth engine for aviation for many years to come. The U.S., at least for the foreseeable future, will still be the largest, most mature market. But there's no doubt there's ramped up interest all around the world, particularly in Asia. Pursuit of excellence. This really goes back to our investment. Our culture is continuous improvement. Good enough is never good enough. What is the thing that we can do to continue to innovate, not just our products, but our services, the way we manufacture airplanes? All of those things are extremely good for us. I believe that the competition around the world has made us stronger, as I said. And I think that the things that we do as an industry to innovate make us all better and create opportunity for everyone. We've been fortunate to be part of General Dynamics, and I will tell you that financial strength matters. It gives you the opportunity to invest in R&D. When General Dynamics purchased us in 1999, we were building two airplanes, very low rate. About a year or two into the relationship with GD, the thing that they told us, you're not investing enough in the future. You need to think about what is going to happen 10 years, 20 years from now. Where are you going to put your energy and where are you going to invest the profits of the company? I believe that financial strength gave us the opportunity to create a roadmap for 30 years. So by 2003, we had created this long-term roadmap of what Gulfstream would become and what we would invest our money in. The G650 was the first in that plan. 500 and 600 were second, and I can't tell you what's next. I think these products have really redefined business aviation. What is the market like? In 2008, when we introduced the G650, we literally had 450 people order the airplane within about a week. It overwhelmed us, quite honestly. If we'd known that would happen, we'd have charged more. Nobody left. The product was overwhelming to us, and we really set out to ensure that we could meet those customer deliveries. And the fact that we're well into that backlog now, and we continue to have very strong backlog for the airplane. It is the most active airplane this quarter for sales. It has been the most active airplane for us throughout the last few years. Incredible reach. The airplane does everything we say it will do and more, and that's kind of the end of the sales pitch. This high-speed efficiency has meant something to the market, and it's proven something to us that speed is important, that time is really what these are about, using these airplanes to save yourself time and energy. But there are incredible barriers to being able to do this. There are things that you have to invest in to ensure the safety of these high-speed airplanes that are not to be taken lightly. We've invested for a number of years and understand those barriers. But we've also listened to our customers. Since, when I started with Gulfstream, about 3 years into my career at Gulfstream, I had the opportunity to travel around the world and talk to customers and owners about the G4. We'd had a number of startup issues with the G4, and so for about 5 years, I actually had a chance to travel around and talk to customers about how we were doing. And I will tell you, I learned a lot of the business from the customer's eyes, the perspective of why are the airplanes performing the way they are, why reliability is important, why dispatchability is important. So that foundation is still important for me today. We involve customers in our design. We involve them in the review of new technology. We involve them in training and things that I think will make a difference to them when they own the airplane. I show you this chart because it points out some of the innovative nature of this high-speed technology. So this is a trip out of Teterboro. So it is a full airplane out of Teterboro, and that's the range around the world of the airplane. The G650 that you see here in this record run from Teterboro to Moscow can actually do 1,500 miles at 0.90 further than any airplane in the market. This is a huge investment in technology and research to ensure high-speed airplanes are efficient. The benefit of speed, we knew we were going to see a significant uptick because of the speed in these new airplanes, 650, 500, 600. But you start thinking about what does it do? It saves you time as an individual, but it saves time on the airframe. It saves time on engine programs. It saves time on airframe programs. It gives you a distinct financial edge over any other product you've ever owned. It takes down maintenance intervals. It takes down schedule of payments for, again, the engine programs. And it takes into account safety. Crews are flying less hours. Their crew duty days are shorter. All of this equates to savings of time, money, and improved safety. We wanted to prove that not too long ago. So we did, in 5 days, we did a 6 days, we did a 5-city record run with the G650ER. And you can see the records here. I think it's visible from the back. There are a couple of them that are fairly compelling. Tokyo to New York is actually about an hour and 20 minutes faster than the previous record. The New York to Paris in 5 hours and a few minutes. I can't see how many minutes that is. Actually, I can see it, but I won't say it. This investment in that speed, that technology, that overall performance of the airplane really drives our day-to-day effort. That technology investment became apparent in the 650, but really carried over almost as we finished up the 650, we began the investment in the engineering into 500 and the 600. We've created this incredible new technology called active control side sticks. It's the first in our industry. It is not a passive system as other side sticks in aviation are. This is a collaborative effort between crew members so that both know what the other is doing. It's an incredible step forward for us. We had looked at side sticks for probably 20 years, and until we could achieve this active control, we didn't believe it was the safest operation to go to. So this is a big step forward, I think, for the entire industry. I think more airplanes will have it as we go forward into the future. It doesn't stop there, though. Investment is about continued investment. It's about not sporadic spurts of money investing in short-term gain. It's really about having a long-term vision. The area you see here is actually our R&D center. It includes things like the Iron Bird, which was the very first picture of the gear coming up into the airplane. It's actually an exact replica of every mechanical system on the airplane. We also have replicas of all of the electrical system, all of the cabins of all of these airplanes. We help people learn how to build the airplane. They actually go into the Research and Design Center and put the airplane together, troubleshoot. Things that used to take us weeks and months in flight tests can now be evaluated in hours in this R&D center. When I started on the G4, if we had an autopilot problem during flight test, it would ground us for weeks. So almost overnight now, through the R&D center, we can take that same event that occurred on a flight test airplane, evaluate what happened, understand the issue, and get back into the flight test in rather quick order. So an exciting opportunity of investment for us. It's not just about the airplane, as I said. It's also about the experience that our customers have. Again, involving them in where we're going from a cabin technology, making sure that we're doing the things that help them be productive. These are long-range airplanes. You're on the airplane 10, 15 hours. It has to be an experience that's second to none. Owners demand a lot of time of us when we're talking about interiors and making sure that we're investing in things that make their life easier, make their life more productive, and make sure that we are working toward their expectations. So we announced at NBAA, as we've continued to flight test, one of the great things about flight test is as you're flight testing, as anybody that's done it, you're always looking for weight. How do you evaluate weight on an airplane? How do you determine ways to reduce weight in the right areas? How do you improve the aerodynamics of the airplane? That's what flight test is all about. People are always amazed that we can actually make the airplane more productive, have longer range. Well, flight test teaches you a lot of that. The R&D Center has given us a head start because we can do that through simulation now, but the airplanes are certainly improving as we learn more during flight tests. We talked about the range increase that you see here at 9.0. These high-speed airplanes are absolutely incredible. The other thing I want to talk about today is being accountable. You know, one of the things that I preach to our team a lot, and I've learned from customers, is if you make a promise, you need to meet the promise. So that is important to us, that we be accountable for the things that we can control. I think we see that in each and every day in our business. We recently had an event on our newest airplane where we had to intervene into a dispute with a couple of our suppliers. I certainly didn't plan to be in the nacelle building business just a few years ago, but it really comes down to what is our commitment to our end customer. How did we deal with that particular issue? So now we have Gulfstream, Oklahoma, and we're building nacelles, and we have a great partnership and agreement now with both NORDAM and Pratt. But my point in telling that story is that we have a responsibility to our employees and to our customers to deliver on the promises we made. So while sometimes you don't want to always intervene in some of these things, if you have a promise, it's important that you be able to complete that agreement. So building airplanes, this isn't just about designing airplanes that go really fast, but this is about quality of building airplanes. And this is a picture of our production facility. I had a customer probably about 6 months ago call and say, "Hey, I'd like to come in and watch you mate the wing of the airplane." So it'd been a while since I'd seen the actual mating process of this airplane. So I said, "Sure, come on down." And the amazing thing to me was the precision with which airplanes have evolved to be built today. When I started 36 years ago, airplanes were hand-built. There was a lot of fitting, trimming, shimming, things that went into building airplanes. Today, with the 3D modeling that we use to design airplanes, the precision is just incredible. The whole wing mating event, when the customer came in, lasted about 30 minutes. This would have been about a 3 or 4 day event when you had to fit previous model airplanes in the past. So this 3D technology is just incredible. And I think that precision with which airplanes have allowed us to build high-speed airplanes. The quality of the skin, the quality of the mating surfaces, the tolerances in airplanes, that allows you to build high-speed airplanes. The tighter those tolerances are, the faster you can get the airplane to go. So as we have evolved our thinking on building airplanes, we've also evolved our thinking about how the airplane is built. You can see here the robotics of building the wing today. Absolutely incredible accuracy, repeatability. The quality is just incredible. You can see that one employee kind of running that whole very dynamic machine. And if I could get it to run that fast, I could increase the rate of the 650. There's a 500, 600 production line, so we're excited about filling that up. We've begun deliveries of those airplanes. an exciting time for us to put new technology airplanes out into the market. There's the 650 production line, still going at a fairly good clip in producing 650s. All of this talk about simulated development and 3D design and robotic accuracy of building airplanes, it still comes down to the people. We are 18,000 people strong now at Gulfstream, incredibly committed workforce. It's pretty cool that we get to come to work every day and build airplanes, but what an incredible workforce. And I think from this point forward, I'm going to talk about some of the things you guys have talked about, and that is we have a responsibility as leaders in this industry to be able to develop the next generation of employees. I'm going to skip that and go there. As we look to the future, we look to what we will do next, and it includes airplanes, but it also includes how we're going to develop our employee base and how we're going to develop new employee bases. So we've talked about pilot shortages. I will tell you, we see technician shortages every day. We're hiring at a great clip around the world to improve our service network as we go forward. But engineers, people that have technology education in STEM and science and math that will run these robots we've seen that will help us build new airplanes. All of that is going to be ultimately a shortage unless we as an industry take some ownership. I had the opportunity with a couple of people in this room to be part of the GAMA, the General Aviation Manufacturers Association, and the good fortune this year of being the chairman. And one of the things we will focus on is that future workforce development. How do we as an industry make sure that we're doing the right things that help young people become interested in aviation? When you talk about pilot shortages and technician shortages today, it's really hard to solve that without thinking about the future and how that will be 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and making sure that we're doing the right things as an industry. So we have, for many years now, at Gulfstream, been growing that workforce. So if you come to Savannah or one of our other campuses, you'll see that there are technical colleges adjacent to our facilities. There are A&P schools adjacent to our facilities, but we've even gone back further than that to really focus on STEM education down into the grade school level. So we have something called Starbase, where we're working with elementary school students, and we have something called Student Leadership, where we're working with high school students. We've been doing this for a number of years. We've graduated in the Student Leadership over 1,000 high school graduates. The program is something where they've led them to college or technical schools, but many of them have come back to work for us. So this is an important thing for us as an industry. You know, as part of this industry, I think we all have the responsibility to give back to something that's given us so much. So I'm going to end up with a couple of slides. Again, I think not only giving back through helping the young people learn more about aviation, but we have a responsibility as a group as well to advocate for our industry. We get a bad rap quite often. We get a black eye for things that we don't deserve. It is very well known that companies that use business and private aviation are more productive, they're more financially successful, but all that aside, it's still up to us to continue to advocate for the industry as a whole. So I would ask you to join me in doing that. Every chance I get to speak, no matter what group it is, including our employees, I talk about advocating for what we are. There is no doubt business aviation has created the global commerce that exists today. The companies that use our products create global commerce on the grandest scale. No offense to the airlines, but you can't do it based on the next flight to Akron. This is about flexibility. This is about the ability to fly an airplane out of Teterboro 1,500 miles further than anybody else because it's flexible. It's a weight-restricted airport. We want to make sure that we're creating tools that allow our customers to do what they do best. And lastly, this is my mercifully last slide. I will tell you something that I tell our people every day. So we meet as a group. All 18,000 people get a chance to join us on a quarterly basis, and we talk about the things that are impacting our business today and the things that we're thinking about in the future. But I want to end with something I heard Jay and team talk about last night as we wrapped up. Integrity is important. I believe that that's the core of what we've tried to create at Gulfstream. We're ethical. We want to behave as a good partner. We're not always the cheapest, but I will tell you that we want to make sure that we're being a good partner to everyone in this industry, customers, brokers, maintenance providers. All of that's important to us. The whole equation of business aviation is important to us. It's what we do. I want to be able to ensure that we as a group deliver on the promises we make. Again, advocate for what we do. Be very disciplined regardless of the situation. So there are situations where the market's great, and there are situations where the market's not so great. But it's all the discipline of how you run the operation. Are you disciplined on your pricing? Are you disciplined on the number of airplanes that you build? Are you disciplined on supporting the customers all around the world on any given day? All of that discipline goes back to being a good cyclical business. It is a cyclical business. We have to behave as a good cyclical. And then lastly, I'll tell you our commitment is to continue to invest. We've been very fortunate, as I showed during the General Dynamics years with us, that we've had a consistent annual investment. We've had a consistent engineering workforce that have allowed us not only just to work about airplanes that everyone knows about, but airplanes well into the future and well beyond anything that we've ever told the marketplace. So I will thank you for the opportunity to be here today. Good to see so many old friends, and Alistair, thank you for inviting me. Thank you, everybody.
Do we have any questions for Mark? One of the ones which came up on the Slido is you mentioned speed.
Yep.
Someone's asked you, supersonic, yes or yes?
So, I mean, it's inevitable, right? Supersonic airplanes are inevitable. I'm a little bit pragmatic about this. I think there's some hurdles that yet to be cleared, regulatory-wise and airplane-wise, but it will happen. I think what you've got to consider is, if you're an OEM, is what's the investment, and is the investment going to be worth the return? Because obviously we're all in this for the return that we put into it. ROIC is one of the metrics we look at almost on a daily basis. When I think about supersonic, there are three very distinct bills that have to be paid. You have to build or design the airplane, and that may be the easiest one. You have to learn to build the airplane, which will be much more unique than building metal airplanes. They're going to be different. And then you have to learn to support that airplane all around the world every day. And those three bills are all billion-dollar-plus propositions. So it's a huge investment, and it's one not to be taken lightly. We certainly continue to invest ourselves, but we're a little bit of ways from announcing anything.
Do you want to choose which question you answer next? These are all from the audience. So what will be the future of the G280?
The G280 has been a very successful program for us. We've built almost 200 now. We will continue that production line. There's no need to change that production line. I will tell you, a lot of people ask me, well, when are you going to move the 280 production to the U.S.? II has been a wonderful partner for us. And I was there day one, June 6th, 2001, when that transaction happened. And they have never missed a delivery. They've never been late. It is a good partnership. They built an incredible airplane. The prowess of our design that we put in to the 280, coupled with the cabin that they designed on the 200, have culminated in a really great performing airplane. So right now we'll continue to build that airplane, certainly now and into the future.
Do you have a figure on percentage of sales of corporate versus private clients? Do you track that?
We do. I don't know it off the top of my head, Alistair. I will tell you that the U.S. market and corporate market is much stronger this year than in the past few years. I see a lot of pent-up demand coming to fruition. We've been 60-40, 60 U.S., 40% international for the last couple of years. It might be closer to 65 or 70 U.S. this year. So very strong market here in the U.S. for us.
And Michael, yesterday, Embraer's looking or investing in the VTOL for vertical takeoff. Does Gulfstream have any plans for that?
So plans are, we look at technology that makes airplanes safer and more efficient. And so we look at all of that. There are a number of things that we're considering. I wouldn't say that we're probably near term considering that a viable product for us. But the good news about our R&D is we're not just looking at airplanes, we're looking at technologies like you're talking about that make airplanes safer and more efficient.
Okay, and Chad from AIN has asked, with the Global 7500 entering service, what will you do to reclaim the top of the market?
So, from a personal standpoint, it is not our intention to relinquish control of a market we created. So we will not go quietly. It would be interesting if we were working on something. Not ready to, certainly not anything to announce today, but it's a market that we believe the 650 created. We believe the airplane that we sell today, the G650ER, is still the only high-speed airplane capable of the performance that I showed you earlier. That is something we're very proud of. We'll continue to invest in future airplanes as well.
You are very welcome to announce it today if you want to. Final question. When you, someone's asked what concerns do you have for politics, both international and domestic?
Yeah, I think much like most of you, the trade disputes are certainly concerning. Sanctions around the world. I think the political turmoil has certainly created some angst around the world. I will tell you, the administration, I understand the trade issues because we have businesses in China and we have businesses in Brazil and in the EU. So I understand, as a business person, you want free and fair trade. I hope that's where we're headed. But that's probably the biggest obstacle for us right now as far as some of the angst created by that to our end customers.
Final question.
Yeah.
When you started, how long did it take to build a G5? And now how long can you build an aircraft?
So, it's when I started, it was a hand-built process, and there were a lot of bodies around it. We built 18 the first year that I started. So, I don't know the actual number of days. I will tell you today, because of the manufacturing we have, start to finish, from the very first part that we cut, which is a very small machine part, it's probably less than 12 months from start to finish. That includes the interior. But we've gone from interiors that took 40 and 50 weeks when I started to interiors that take 12 weeks. So there is no doubt the precision build, the accuracy of 3D models, the airplanes are getting easier to build, they're higher quality, and they're certainly capable of more than we're doing today. So,
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.